Logo you said is most recognizable, but then you kind of ended the sentence. You just need to say a little bit more, because you used the word most. The most recognizable in the world, or in Korea, or for people. You need to just say.
Among the logos in my phone.
Is the okay? Yeah. This one is the most recognizable amongst, or on my phone, something like that. Usually, when you say most recognizable plus at most plus adjective, it's going to be followed up by something. You said also similar idea. I would change also to another similar idea instead of also similar idea. Make them noise about.
Notice.
Oh, make them notice about. Maybe you said make them notice about. You just don't need the word about to make them notice. And you said I haven't actually seen the thing. You could probably just change the thing to it. The words like thing and stuff are not always the strongest words because they're a little bit vague. Wongyu, you said this doesn't fit on me. You were talking about what you shared. When you say this doesn't fit on me, it really sounds like you're talking about clothes. So you would probably say this doesn't fit with me, or this doesn't work for me, or this doesn't, even you can say this doesn't sound like me, meaning not like something I would do. This doesn't sound like me. This doesn't suit me.
Applies to me.
This doesn't really, I don't think this really applies to me. You said number third, but you would say number three, or third, one or the other. You said when I first recruited for the jobs, you were not recruiting, right? You were, yeah. So when I was first recruited for the jobs, so when you said it like that, it sounded like I thought maybe you were hiring. You were the recruiter or something. You said something is the first impression. It's not a mistake, but maybe you can change is to give. A lot of times we use the verb give with impression. This gives me a great impression. I want to give or make. Give or make. And I don't have much apps, many apps instead of much. Dongan, you said in the website, probably on the website. Sounds a little more natural. You said this red looks like arrow. Not is looks, just this looks like an arrow. You just don't need the word is. It is not very often used in companies' logos. There's no mistake there, but you can probably just make that shorter. It is not very often used in companies' logos. Just companies don't use it. Company logos don't use that often. I don't know why, but it sounded a little bit long. What I understand is that instead of saying what I understand, maybe you can say I understand it to be, or I understand it to mean. Instead of what I understand is, you're kind of saying the way that you understand it, right? When you say what I understand, it's really giving you like an object, like there's some problem or something. So you want to say, I take it or I understand it to be, because I forget what you were talking about, but you were talking about something very subjective, your opinion, right? So I understand it to be, I understand it to mean is much more useful to kind of give your subjective opinion instead of what I understand. It's not a mistake, really. And then I think you said sensing our look. Yeah, the sensing our eyes or sensing our vision, maybe, is a noun that could be better instead of look. Sojung, just a couple for you. You said cleverest. The girl was the cleverest. But you're talking about school, so definitely I would say smartest. Clever is more kind of like tricky, clever. you don't use clever for grades.
Yeah.
You use clever for, I made some really smart device or some machine. That's quite clever, but not with the grades. And you said, you were talking about your sleep. You said bad circle. It just sounds a little bit better to say cycle instead of circle. And you said when the company well known, you kind of just need a verb there. When the company became well known, or when the company is well known, became sounds good. Bitna, you said easily recognized by the people. It's probably just unnecessary to say by the people, just easily recognizable. That is a common term. This is very, he is, they are, this is very easily recognizable. You said you can find it on the Facebook. It's just very small one, but we would probably never use the word the. I saw this on Facebook. You don't need the. And then at the end you said so cheap beer. You would say very cheap beer instead of so. And you said sell beer with the cheap price. The cheap price is not with. It's not something that is accompanying the good beer. So you probably want to say they sell beer for or at a cheap price. They sell beer for a cheap price. They sell beer at a cheap price. Either of those are okay. Any questions?